going to be stratified.
Good evening. I'm going to call the February 8th, 2022 agenda meeting to order. Those who are present, Councilmember Jason Moskowitz, Councilmember Bill McPartlin, Councilmember Jessica Brennan, Councilmember John De La Rada, Town Attorney Elena Finnan. All right. There are no minutes to approve, so we'll go ahead and move on into the Finance and General Government Committee.
Proposing a resolution making certain budgetary modifications as we get to the end of the fiscal year for 2021 and are closing that out. A resolution amending a service agreement with the workers' compensation carrier. A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a member participation agreement with the workers' compensation carrier. A resolution appointing a principal account clerk. And then added from the floor, a resolution to set the meal reimbursement rates for the town employees on training. A resolution authorizing the supervisor to sign a contract with Public Sector HR Consultants, LLC. A resolution accepting grant funding for improvements to the baseball fields at Blatnick Park. And a resolution to set pay rates for part-time employees.
Thank you. Are there any questions or? Okay. Moving on to the Public Works Committee. Superintendent Ray Smith, thank you.
Number 5, a resolution authorizing to go out to bid for mowing services. This one is for Dean Street Park and also Baker Avenue Park. We currently had a 3-year rollover, which we exercised all 3 years. So we got the same price for 3 years. So this is just to advertise and go out, and we'll do put in the paper early March and have an opening mid-March and hopefully have results for the end of March for April and May mowing. And we are also, I gave these to Elena to review. These are some older bid documents, and I just wanted Elena to renew, check and make sure our liabilities are okay, our insurances, and any legal work that needed to be done to these before we put them out.
You're not really changing any of the specifications
No,
on them.
specifications will be the same. We just want to make sure, because they are an older document, so we just want to make sure everything's up to snuff. Number 6, resolution authorizing requests to go out to bid for maintenance of holding ponds in the town. I think there's 6 or 7 ponds that we have currently been doing as well. We're on a 4-year schedule with the current vendor that was doing them. That has expired, so this as well needs to go out. I have recommended and we'll be going over with Elena. They were on a once-a-week schedule, but the price of this was getting pricey. Now, these are detention basins, so I'm looking to modify and go with a bi-weekly mow. It's not an area which people play in or anything. It's basically to keep it presentable and keep the pond working and flowable. So it's a rough area, but they're normally in neighborhoods where they need to look decent. So I'm going to modify that and hopefully offset the cost of how much they've gone up. So changes there. Number 7, a resolution authorizing a request to go out to bid for temporary labor for the yard waste pickup. 2 years we've done this in-house because of the pandemic. It has really ate up a lot of our people, which could be doing other things that are desperately falling behind. We've used this service in the past. It's worked out well. Although we're still in pandemic times, I will not utilize this until I know my people are safe and it's safe for them to enter my building. So I just would like to have it done. And that way, if we do reach that point where they can be used, we will use them. If it's not feasible, we'll continue to do it in-house and keep our people safe.
So we did this in the past. Now we haven't done it for 2 years, so we
Yeah.
don't know what the rates are going to be and what their availability for
Right.
providing the labor would be.
Right, so there is money in the budget for temp labor. So depending on what the price is how much time we can actually utilize them. Obviously, if it's a higher price and we need to utilize them less, we would use our people in less busy time of the year and use them upon the heavy demand and when our workload is heavier, paving season, leaf pickup. So it's a good offset there.
Right.
Number 8, resolution accepting paving rollover bids. I'm waiting on 2 more to come in to keep the price the same as last year, which is huge with everything the way it's going. Our paving bids do have a de-escalation clause, so when oil cost is down, we get a reduced rate based on a set fixed plateau. So, but when oil prices are high, you have to, just the opposite, you have to add to that bid price. So, this is on a month-to-month basis that you do your de-escalation cost or escalation costs. So that will definitely affect how many roads we pave and what we can afford to do. So I should have those all back together and ready for a resolution the end of this month. Number 9 is a resolution awarding for contracts for seeding, hydro mulch, fertilizer, and services to town facilities. So this is our option of having fertilizers put on our sporting fields or treatment of Blatnick Pond for algae or treatment of hogweed along. This is just a service that we get prices and we're able to utilize for a variety of different things, all at our option. They're not really contracts, they're prices. And, when we call and we need it, they're available. And so that's why we do this. And that's it for me. I think next ones are Matt. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Ray. Matt Yetto.
Okay, number 10 is a resolution to amend a resolution from last month for the purchase of a pump at the Femoral pump station. The incorrect information was provided to the attorney, and the actual dollar amount is $1,700 cheaper from what we had thought, and it's a different vendor. But it's just a modification of the resolution to address that, to make that correction. We haven't placed any orders yet, so we caught it early enough. 11 is a resolution regarding the Pierce Road Sewer District Extension. The resolution to create the district was premature. We're still working on getting the final numbers together. We're working with Elena, and we need to remove that resolution from last year, and we're going to move forward as getting the up-to-date pricing and get the project ready to go as quickly as possible. It's just, I think we just got ahead of ourselves a little bit on that. 12 is a resolution to authorize the sale of surplus equipment. I have 2 pickup trucks. One is an 05 and one's from 2002. And we have some other various pieces of equipment that we want to surplus. And I will provide a complete list to Elena prior to the board meeting. 13 is a resolution that would authorize the replacement of an engine on a 2015 Ford F-250 truck. The truck only has 65,000 miles on it. There's a serious issue with the engine, but the rest of the vehicle is in great shape. It's also a service body, so it's equipped with toolboxes and everything. So it makes sense to replace the engine rather than get rid of the truck. The cost of that is going to be $7,672. 14 is a
Matt, I'm sorry, how many miles are on that?
65,000.
Is that, is that common for the F-150s to go around those miles, or it seems kind of low?
It was a fluke issue with one of the valves that came free in the engine and was pulled into the cylinder and caused catastrophic failure of the engine. So it's sort of a fluke. Yeah, we were surprised by it as well. It's got low mileage on it. It shouldn't be having issues.
It's not covered by a powertrain warranty or anything?
I think it's too old for that now. It's a
It doesn't go by mileage?
I
Oh.
I can check, but this is from our highway department who does the maintenance on the vehicles.
Yeah.
This is their recommendation. I can find out what the details are.
Not typically.
I didn't think so.
No.
But if it all is a chance, we'll try for that. But I think they've exhausted other options at this point. 14 is a resolution to authorize the fourth quarter of 2021 corporate utility warrant. It's just our standard resolution for the warrant. Chris Lachinsky, the water billing clerk, and Kathy Persons in my office have looked at the numbers, and if anything is out of the ordinary, we'll address that part of the meeting. But everything looks good. 15 is a resolution to authorize a maintenance contract for the SCADA software. I mentioned this at Finance Committee. I don't believe, due to the dollar amount, it requires a board action. The approval from the Finance Committee is all that we needed for that. 16 is a tentative resolution to hire a maintenance worker in the water and sewer crew. We currently have an opening. We've placed an ad in the paper, and we're waiting for applicants. If we have a good applicant and they interview well, I'll make a recommendation to the board for hiring. But at this point, we still don't have a name, so it's just a tentative resolution. Any questions? Good? Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Matt?
Community programs. No, we don't need to come up. Okay.
Yeah.
There's no resolutions. Okay, I'm sorry. Laura for Economic Development, Historic Preservation, Environmental Conservation Committee.
So number 18, we talked about at the last agenda meeting. It's the special use permit for 1930 Hillside Ave. You guys are holding the public hearing, but it's a daycare going into a place that a daycare has been for 30 years. Before this, it's just a special use permit expired because that daycare closed, and it took, I think, maybe 5 years for this one to be able to move in there. But the planning board had recommended approval of the special use permit. So the public hearing, I think, is out right now. It'll be held on the 22nd, and my recommendation would be also to take action tentatively for that meeting. 19 is a resolution adopting a hazard mitigation plan. That's something that Schenectady County works on every 3 years, I think. It's required by FEMA, and it's required by FEMA for us to adopt it so that if we ever need reimbursement for natural disasters, or I think even pandemics, we have to have adopted a hazard mitigation plan. So that is ready to go. We talked about it in my Economic Development Committee. It's got a pretty neat website, which I can send you guys if you want to check it out. And they provide a model resolution to us for that. So that's all just kind of a legal thing that we have to do. And then number 20 is a resolution calling for a public hearing on a historic preservation code. This is a code we've been working on probably for like close to a year. But a lot of it is just to make sure that we have formally designated historic homes so that we're a little bit stronger on that whenever we need to defend ourselves for stating that something's historic in the town. I think it formalizes the historic committee, and then it provides for the ability for the town to review demolitions of historic homes. And we're hoping to have the ability on very limited circumstances to deny demolition of historic homes. May never need it, but that's what that code there is for. So we would introduce the local law and call for a public hearing at the end of the month.
And Laura, 1930 Hillside is a place of worship, right?
Yeah, so it's a special use permit for a daycare and a place of worship.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's been something that has been kind of a trend for the past several years, with churches becoming less active at our houses of worship, less active, kind of taking in community daycare programs and the like.
Yeah, so it ends up being a win-win, which I really couldn't tell you why we have to make it a special use permit, except probably that it's two principal uses in a single structure, so we have to be a little careful with it. But generally speaking, it's very compatible uses because daycares aren't open on the weekends, and that tends to be when places of worship are at their most active. So you're sharing parking, you're sharing facilities. Daycares don't have to build their own buildings. You're not putting additional parking lots or taking down any trees. It's definitely like a win-win situation to have them be co-located. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Police and Public Safety Committee, Chief Koshin.
Good evening, everyone. Number 21 is a resolution awarding a contract for police vehicle maintenance for 2022. We anticipate having all the bids in by February 15th, and they will be opened here with Michelle Martinelli, the town clerk, at which time we're hoping to have a decision made based on those bids for the police vehicle maintenance moving forward into the new year. 2022, a resolution amending the town code to create a 2-ton weight limit for a portion of Story Avenue. We've been having ongoing discussions with the residents there. We have an identified need regarding limiting commercial vehicle traffic over many months now. We've all been discussing this together. I think this is something we all have agreed upon, that this is something we should take action on, and it would be great for the neighborhood over there as well as the town as a whole regarding this. Number 23, a resolution accepting a 2022 Stop DWI grant. The total grant, it's broken into two pieces. It's $9,750 for personal services and $3,000 for high visibility enforcement. This is an annual grant that the county applies for, that we all kind of work under their umbrella together. And we really appreciate the fact that the county does that for us, because these grant monies give us the opportunity to put more real-time staffing on the road for identified traffic needs, DWI concerns, checkpoints, and the like. So that's exciting to get those monies through the county. Lastly, number 24, a resolution accepting a grant for body-worn cameras. This is a matching grant through the SRT Small Rural and Tribal Agency body-worn camera grant that was applied for in 2021. The total grant amount is up to $33,420. It's a matching 1-for-1. We don't have a final award yet. Part of what this resolution is going to do is give us the ability to sign, to accept and agree to the matching funds, whatever that award is to be. We anticipate it hopefully being that amount. But it's kind of, we kind of put the carriage before the horse with this. This is just a resolution to get us to the point to finalize that grant. We asked for an extension. They were very gracious with us to then be able to accept those grant fundings moving forward, to get us body-worn cameras, hopefully. Does anybody have any questions?
Have you chosen the camera that you want from all the ones that you've tested? I know you tested many cameras, and all had pros and cons, but have you guys narrowed it down to the one you want?
So that's a challenging question to answer, specifically because depending on whether or not we finalize this grant, the amount of funding that comes in, the amount of funding that the town is going to provide to match that or in excess of that, is really going to determine what that deciding factor looks like from a decision on a camera system or platform. If you're asking me, do I have a camera system in mind that I would love to have? Absolutely. I think we've all agreed upon what we think would best fit our needs. But the funding is going to play a big role in that decision-making process. So I think we need to kind of check this box off first, see what comes back, have those conversations with you folks about maybe at a minimum we have to match the funds that were provided, but maybe in excess of that to decide what's going to be the best product for our community and for our police department moving forward.
Most likely the cameras that you want are more expensive than some of the other cameras, and then there's going to be an issue as to whether or not the total grant with the match would provide enough cameras, right?
So again, this is, we spoke about it. Detective Fraga had done a presentation in the police and public safety meeting regarding the camera systems. One of the camera systems that we're looking at would give us the ability to purchase actually less cameras based on the platform and the ability is a little more technical to be able to assign it to individuals real time versus having a one-for-one where every officer has to have their own camera. But yes, in theory, even if the town matched the 33,420 and that's what we were awarded, would we need some financial help beyond that? Yes, possibly, yes. But the camera system that we did look at that we think would best fit our needs is not the most expensive. It's kind of right in the middle.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
So that's all we have for the agenda meeting. And at this time, I'll make a motion to adjourn. May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.